For today, we will be discussing about physics. Okay, you know physics, right? So I think you know. Can you tell me about something that you know about physics?
Physics, like
Can you tell me something related to physics?
that the law of, I don't know in English, the law of something.
Okay, these are the laws. Very good. So could you please tell me anything that you remember during your high school days or your foundation if you have about what you have studied in physics? I think, could you please tell me? Could you please tell me
Something
one?
like speed and power, how the speed and power are related.
Okay, very good.
Speed, power, sound, like that.
Motion, speed, energy, energy, power, so on and so
The
forth.
law of gravity.
Yeah,
Gravity.
very good. So all of this talks about motion, correct? What more? Time. Very good. That's maybe part of the motion. Time. Oh, good. Time. What more? What more do you know about physics? How about this? Solid, liquid, gas, plasma, so on and so forth. These are about matter, right? Correct?
Yes.
Properties of matter. Yeah, of matter. Very good. So in Blender, we have this functionality or feature we called physics, and this physics properties is concerned with motion. Let's say, for example, time, as Moy had said earlier, speed, energy, power, so on and so forth. And also in physics, we also talk about the properties of matter like solid, liquid, gas, plasma, so on and so forth. So all of these things were actually part of the physics, right? So we try to simulate in Blender how real objects behaves and react based on some parameter set. Let's say, for example, if let's say for example I have let's say for example I have a ball, example only, okay, I have a ball here and I have a flooring, okay, I have the flooring here, okay, and then I'm going to drop this ball in the flooring. What do you think will happen to the ball when it reaches the flooring? Let's say not,
What, doctor?
let's say I have the object here. Okay, I have an object here. Let me just throw it. Can you see my whiteboard?
Yes.
Good. So I have an object here. Okay. So I have my object, which is this, and I want to drop it in the floor. Okay, another object here, right? So I have two objects here. Object 1, object 2, and object 1, right? Do you get my illustration, correct?
Yes.
So I have an action. Okay, that's good. We call it action. So I have an action here. I want to drop. Okay, my action is I have an action which is actually I want to drop this object. I want to drop object 1 to the ground, which is my object 2, right? I want to drop it. So what do you think will happen if this object drops here and this object 2? What are the possibilities?
Maybe the object will back again to the air, then it will touch the object 2 again and again, maybe twice,
Okay.
thrice, like that.
Okay, very good. So possibilities, that's for Muayyad. Possibilities is 1, the object 1 will bounce, right? Will bounce,
Yes.
correct? What's the
And also
other?
maybe maybe the second object will break.
Either both of them, right? Either object 1 breaks, very good, or that's a very good Muayyad, very nice observation. Object 2 also breaks, correct? So these are
Yes.
two possibilities. So it means that if object 1 is softer than object 2, the tendency is object 1 will break because object 2 is hard, correct? Or the other way around, if object 1 is hard and object 2 is soft or brittle, it will break. So depending on the properties, physical properties of this object, action or outcome or possibilities will be inferred, right? So it could break or it could bounce depending. So let's say, for example, if this object 2, the material used is wood or plastic, let's say for example it's wood or plastic, or let's say for example it's glass, and then the material used in this object or the particle used in this object is metal, what will happen to this object 2 here? It will break, right? So it means your outcome or your output depends on how you choose objects, or what are the things you have to put on the object, what are the physical properties or the physics related to this object. So the behavior of the action will depend on what kind of object is this and what kind of object is this. So in this discussion, I will be introducing to you another feature of Blender, which is physics, and let's try to explore it. Although I'll just give you the introductory part of this, and you could explore it on your own next time, or the next in your free time you can explore it more. But I just want to illustrate to you how we apply physics in your project. So you can go with Blender. Okay, open your Blender here. Okay, so let's just try to simulate this. We have one object and we have the second object, right? So if you will see, I have the box here. If I will remove this box, I have no object, correct? So I am having an empty space here. Am I right? This is an empty space, correct? So I have an empty space here, meaning this is vacuum. It's nothing. It's see-through. Although you see some grid here, this grid is not actually existing. You have to remember, this is not existing. It's only a guide for you when you do designing. But the truth is, this plane here that is comprised of the X and the Y and the Z axis, the Z, the X and the Y, this is not actually existing. That's why if you go with the render, I go with the render view here, you see nothing, right? It's only darkness because nothing was here. So what do we need to do now is we have to put something like objects in order for us to perform the animation that we desire. Okay, so basically we need a surface. We need a surface. I think you know this one when you went with the creation of the glass, I mean the cup last time. You worked with this, right? How to put an object or a table in your Blender environment. I think you did it, right? So
Yes.
you add a new object, which is a mesh, then you put a plane, right? I think this was the one introduced to you in the last discussion. So you could prefer to go to the mesh, okay, then go to add, then mesh, then plane. Maybe I could write it in here in the board. So you can create your your surface by adding a plane. Right, so you go to add and go to mesh, and then go to plane. I hope you could see this. Okay, so create a surface. So I think you've learned last time how to use it, right, and to manipulate this. So you can actually scale the plane by pressing which key? S key, right?
S, then handle.
Yeah, and then
Maybe 100 surface.
move the handle. S key, then move the handle to precise. I want to write in here so that you could get the manual later for those who want to review it after the class. So S, you could scale it until all of the stage is filled out, then click to release. So this is now our surface. Okay, this is now our surface, and we want our object to bounce here, right, or to drop here, I mean, sorry, not bounce, to drop here. And we will see later what will happen if our object will drop here. Because if we will not put a plane like this, what happens is if we have an object here and when we drop it here, what happens is it goes infinite. Okay, it goes infinite here because we don't have any surface like here in our whiteboard. We don't have an object 2 where the object 1 could bounce into. What will happen is our object will just, when you play the animation here, it will just continuously go down, 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 infinitely, endlessly. It will go down like that. So we need to add a surface, which is in this case is our plane here. So since collision will happen on this plane, okay, we want collision to happen in this plane, so you can now invoke the physics property. You have to remember both of these objects here, they have their own physics properties. Okay, object 1 will have physics properties and object 2 will have its own properties. Okay, you have to remember that. So in this case, I will just have to click this. Okay, so let me just note it in the Word for the sake of those who wants to do it later. To apply physics, or let's say, yeah, to apply physics in the object, click, okay, you have to remember this, you have to click the object where you want to apply it. Okay, in this case I want collision to happen in this plane, so I have to click it. Okay, and I'll go to physics. Where is physics here in this menu on the right? Where is physics? So physics, you will see it actually
in the last
yeah,
right.
Yes, on the last portion of your menu, which is this. You will see it's like check like this, like, right? There's a motion symbol here. So this is physics. So you can take it, click that one on the last corner of your screen, click physics here. So you will see you can select here where is collision, okay, and what are the other properties of the object that you want to go with. Let's say, for example, we want collision to happen in this, meaning because we're dropping, right? We're dropping the object. This one, we're dropping the object here, so collision should happen somewhere here, right? Collision means when, so let me just draw, okay? So this area, we call it collision, okay? This is the area where two objects will meet, so it's a collision, okay? Since object 2 is not moving, so we will put collision on itself because it's not moving, right? So collision will be on itself. But let's say, for example, if we have two objects like this, I have two objects like this, one, then I have another object like this, and then both of them are moving in this direction. Where's the collision? Collision will be somewhere here, right? At t equals to I don't know, then collision will happen. So collision will be somewhere in this point. So we'll have here what do we call collision. Clear? So since in our example here the plane is not moving, so we will expect collision will happen somewhere here on the plane itself. So that's why we have to put we have to apply collision on this area or this side of the object. So in this case, click collision, okay? So if you want to change the other properties here, let's say if you want to change how this plane absorb the object dropping into it, you can try to experiment and change here, okay? It's all up to you, so I won't limit you on what thing you want to do with your object here. Just my point is just have to at least know how to enable this physics on your object. So in this case you can change the absorption rate, you can change the particle friction. So friction means how strong the friction means when you clash, right? When you rub two objects, there is friction, correct? So you could adjust it. So for the meantime, just keep it, okay? Just keep it. So we have selected the collision here. So we apply collision on this object. Okay, that's it. So after we apply the collision, we can now start having our other object, which is your ball, right? Or any object you want. It could be a box, or it could be a ball, or whatever it is, okay? So I might go with my camera view to see it. So you can add the second object. Let me just add here, I forgot. And then after this, select collision, right? Collision physics. Then the next step we're going to do would be let's add the other object. In this case, what will be our object? Go with add, again mesh, and then let's go with sphere, right? Maybe you can use sphere or box. It's all up to you which object you want to add in this example. So you can go with add, and then mesh, then go with sphere here, right? So you go with 0, and then move it up, put it above your camera so that it could simulate the dropping here later, okay? So you may choose to go with the previous topics that we have done last time, if you remember. Correct? So you could change this object properties, change the other properties that you remember, or you may go with the modifier, right? If you remember your modifier, you can change the value of this. Go to your modifier and go with the subdivision surface, and you can change, right? If you remember last time, this one. So you could smoothen your ball here. Okay. So next next step, let us just have to apply the modifier. So the next step that we need to do now is we need to add physics also with the second object, which is the ball. So let me just write it, see the direction here. Then the second object, you can now add physics to the new object. Okay, so what we will do is, so click it, that's the rule, you have to click it, click the object, then after you click the object, because if I click this, I'm going to this one, but I'm going to click the ball, click this and then go to physics again, but this time let's go with soft body. So you could explore rigid body later on, just try to experiment later on what will happen here. Okay, you have rigid body, you have smoke, you have fluids, all of this you can what call this one, explore later on. Just let's go with the soft body. Okay, so when you press with the soft body here, then select soft body. Okay, so after selecting soft body, okay, for the meantime you can disable the soft body goal, or else you have to set this here, this soft body goal. Just remove it for now. Okay, so uncheck it, just like that. So just write in here for now, uncheck soft body goal. Okay, for now. Okay, soft body goal. And then after this, try to expand the soft body edge. Okay, the soft body edge, try to expand it. Soft body edge, you will see it somewhere here in the bottom. So close this for the meantime, go to soft body edges, soft body edges, it should be edges. And then from there, go to bending. Okay, bending. And then set the value to 5 or 3 or 5, depending on your tastes, okay, of this. So go to soft body edges, go to bending, change this one to 3, maybe 3, I'll use 3. Okay, and then you could so my blender starts to do the circling. Okay, that's it, because I haven't saved my work, that's why. So I changed it to 3. Okay, so to run the simulation before rendering, okay, you try to go to soft body cache. Okay, go to soft body cache, this one here, and then go to bake, current cache to bake. Okay, go to current cache to bake, just right here. So press this here. If you want this to bounce, then you have to change the property of this object. It's like a rubber or something softer, or at least if you want this to bounce from here, see to it this object is hard enough, and the weight of this object is light. Correct? You know it, right? When you drop a light object to a hard object, what happens? It bounces back, correct? So if you want to do like that, let's see what happens here. When you run it, it should be like, yeah, it should be like this. Okay, so when it bounces like this, it should be like this one. So you can't change this the property of this ball. Maybe you could go to, instead of soft body, you can go with rigid body and try to experiment what happens next. Or if you want to make it fluid, so it's all up to you. So how you will simulate fluid here. So try to do it in your ball, the one you did last time, and try to do the experiment in there. So for now, that will be the topic that we will do, because